Okay, guys, we're back with another episode of Canadian Beef, the fitness podcast hosted by these two slabs of raw AAA Canadian beef, aka Paul Martin and myself. Today, we have an amazing guest, a really good friend of mine, Rachel Davis, aka the real Lois Lane. What's going on, Rachel?
Rachel Daniels, first of all.
What did I say?
You said Rachel Davis.
Sorry.
It's okay, I forgive you. That's your Canadian accent, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. Right. Okay, so since we're talking about names, where did the real Lois Lane come from?
Oh God. Okay. So the real Lois Lane, I was always super into comics, but I mean, I made it a little bit deeper than that, I guess. In the real Lois Lane, I kind of got when I first started bodybuilding, I was kind of in a spot where I related a lot to Lois. I felt like I was really not anyone who could kind of take care of myself. Like I always needed saving from other people. She needed to be saved from Superman, but mine was more, I never took responsibility for my actions. And I kind of just always was like the damsel in distress. And I kind of embraced that, and it left me in not a good place in most of my life. So I related to that name and that character in that sense. And then, in some write-offs of the comics, Lois Lane actually turns into Superwoman. So I kind of ran with that just in my head. I would, every day when I would want to go to the gym and change who I was, not just on the outside, but the inside, I would literally like be in my car and I was like, if I want to practice these traits and become this kind of person that I'm not quite yet, I'm going to kind of take on like an alternate persona, like my Superwoman. So anytime I got out of work, and I was on the way to the gym when I first started, I was like, okay, I'm going to put my Superwoman role on. Like, how would she act? What would she do? How would she approach this day? Confidence, courage, being a good person, all those things. And then eventually, I think that's a great way for people to kind of become who they want to be. If you have to pretend you're someone else for a little bit, a better version of yourself, whether it's Superwoman or Superman or anything like that. And then, kind of just practice those qualities until you become that person. That's what I did. And that's what got me through. So, and then I didn't really have Instagram or social media before I started bodybuilding. So I thought it would be a cool name, and kind of just stuck. And now I'm the real Lois Lane.
That's awesome. That's a cool story, actually.
I really think that's cool.
Paul, we're losing your sound.
Oh, it's not working?
No, you're
It is now.
It is now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to say that's totally cool because I'm a total comic nerd and I've been since I was a kid, right? So my stepfather used to buy me comic books. Like he bought the first Todd McFarlane's Spider-Man editions, and I loved the artwork and I just fell into it, right? But it's cool. Your story, it's like indicative of how like these comic arcs and these like characters really shape the way we think of ourselves if we look at it like archetypes, And you think about people like Lois Lane, and you're saying how she was seen as weak and she kind of had to bring herself up. That's awesome. Because I think of Eddie Brock, right? And you think of all the negative characteristics. And if you think of a bodybuilder, you can't think of any better like archetype than Eddie Brock. I mean, this is a guy that he's like the epitome of bodybuilding. Just, down in the dumps, he starts lifting as he feels down in the dumps. He wants to build an alter ego. And before you know it, it's like symbiotic. In comics, you take away so much of the stuff from. So anyways, I just want to say I love the name. I love the story. I think it's awesome.
Thanks. No, yeah, it is. Comic book characters are powerful. I mean, I don't know how many kids in the world probably were in a world or in a place that they didn't like, or parts of themselves that made them feel weak or just a little too human. And I've heard a lot of stories of people who've just had comic book characters give them that release, or just let them take them out of their own crappy world for a little bit and make them feel powerful. Because a lot of these comic book characters, like a lot of these superheroes, like they weren't always superheroes, right? Like they were a normal human or something like that. So it's relatable. People like that. People like seeing people do incredible things and seeing a part of themselves in that person. It gives people hope. So that's what I did. I was like, well, I'm not who I want to be yet, but I'm going to pick the best parts of who I want to be and pretend I'm that until I am. And I mean, human psychology, that's one way to do it.
And now you're the real Lois Lane. Real, because you are. And it's funny because you are. I look at your pictures and it's like, damn, that's a superhero.
Aw, thanks. Thank you.
Paul, can you do me a favor? Can you fix your sound up? Because there's a lot of static going on your end there.
Yeah, I might have to pull a switcheroo. I have a mic here too. I might try to install that. Can you guys give me a second? I'll let you guys chat for a second, right?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so before you got into bodybuilding, you were a gymnast, you did dancing, you did boxing, you did theater, I believe, as well. And you also had like spinal surgery. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I mean, before I was a bodybuilder, I was a gymnast, like you said. That was my whole world. My parents put me in gymnastics, like tumbling for tots when I was like 3 or 4 or 5 years old, because I was a big ball of energy, and I was good at it. So I just kept doing it, and I got to the point where I was a junior Olympic gymnast. I was level 8, so I was right around where I needed to start training for the O, and that was my world. I trained 3.5 hours a day, 6 days a week, and around the time I was 11, I found out that I had scoliosis. So that's like an abnormal curvature of the spine. Normal person has maybe 5 degrees or less kind of curve, and mine was probably a lot higher. So my doctor told me to go see a spine surgeon just to make sure everything's okay, because right around that time, that's when you start growing from puberty and this and that. So that's really when something like scoliosis presents itself. The spine surgeon said that I should wear a brace, and that to correct my scoliosis and wear it all the time, like 24 hours a day. And I was like, no. I told them no, because I was training and I was a gymnast, and it wasn't ideal for me whatsoever. So I said no to that. And then by the time I was around 14, my health was kind of really not doing well just because of that surgery. Like my spine was so curved at that point. It was pushing on my organs. I was like, I couldn't, walking up the stairs felt like I ran a marathon, because my lungs and my diaphragm were compressed. So I was like always out of breath. I had a lot of pain. I was still training and doing gymnastics and everything. But by that point, when I was around 14, my doctor said that if I didn't get that surgery, I probably wouldn't see my 18th birthday, just because of the way it was going. So I was really lucky that I could get this surgery, but it was major surgery. So I have 2 titanium poles. They're about 12 inches in my back, and I have 24 screws, and I have 6 hooks, and it's all supporting my spine. So I always explain it as kind of like a bowling alley. Like if my spine was the bowling ball, the bumpers would be this titanium and all the screws and hooks holding it together. So now my spine can't grow any way but straight. So my curve got better. It's not all the way better. I still probably have like a 20 degree or less curve, but it's significantly better than before, and it changed my life. It saved my life ultimately. So after that, my gymnastics career was unfortunately ended, because obviously I don't have any real mobility when it comes to bending in my spine, except for everything's pretty much fused straight except for my cervical. So my neck, I can do this. And then my last lumbar vertebrae, which is not much. So backflipping and all that kind of contortionist stuff was out the window. So I was really depressed, and that kind of was like a huge moment for me. I felt like something died in my life, because my whole athletic identity was gymnastics, and I thought I was going to the Olympics, and I thought that's what I was going to do forever, and I didn't think about anything else. So I had to kind of change my whole life. And I got into dance and theater, because I thought that was probably the closest thing. I love to perform. You do routines in gymnastics, you have crowds, and I loved that element, and I'm very outgoing. So started dancing and doing theater, which I loved for a long time. And I got a little bit into fighting, MMA stuff, and I was good at that, but my heart really wasn't in it too hard. My heart really wasn't in anything as much as gymnastics until I found bodybuilding. So I actually got hurt fighting. So I started bodybuilding, and some other things in my life had happened where I'd kind of reached my rock bottom, and I just wanted to start getting healthier and changing who I was. I wanted to be stronger on the inside. So I figured I'd start taking care of myself on the outside. And I started going to the gym, started cleaning up my diet. I didn't really know what I was doing. I just started eating healthier. And people at the gym were like, yeah, when's your next show? You know, I was a tiny girl. I was like 105 pounds. They were like, when's your show? And I was like, I don't know. What are you talking about? Because I didn't know anything about bodybuilding. And they were like, you should compete, this and that. So I signed up for a gym where I knew there was going to be some bodybuilders. I signed up for Optimum Gym in Tampa. And so there's a lot of bodybuilders there. And just started working out around them. And I decided I would do a bikini show. And the rest, I fell in love with it. And I started weight training, and the rest is kind of history after that.
Okay, wow. So when you were 14, you had the surgery, right, on your back? How long did it take you to transition then? So how long did you do the dancing and the boxing, the theater, before you finally found bodybuilding? And what was it that first introduced you to? Was it somebody, or was it just something you stumbled upon when you found bodybuilding? What was it that kind of like changed that and gave you that bodybuilding?
Yeah. So I was 14. It was the summer before I was supposed to go to high school. So it was like June, I think, right before I was supposed to go to start my first year of high school. And they usually give a recovery time, like a really long time. They say you're not going to be back to yourself for probably like a year or so. And I thought that was kind of ridiculous, but I really jumped the timeline on that. Like, I mean, I had to learn how to walk again. I had to learn how to do a lot of things again. But we have somebody else. Oh, okay.
Oh, that's just Paul.
Okay. Yeah. So they gave me said it would take maybe a year. And I mean, I was back at school on my first day of high school within 2 months. I wanted to go. I didn't want to miss it. And I was back walking and doing a lot of stuff really quickly. And I don't know. I think most of it was because I didn't sit down and do nothing. I was always up trying to move and walk and get my muscles going and things like that. But that was a long time before I started bodybuilding. So I started bodybuilding. I'm 29 now. I started bodybuilding when I was 26. So I went to high school. All through high school, I was really involved in theater and dance, to the point where by the time I was graduating, I had scholarships to college for musical theater and dance. I did backup dancing professionally for a lot of different artists. And so I loved that. When I went to college though, I kind of, I kind of got into the party lifestyle. I put my theater down. I put dance down for a long time. And after college, I kept partying. I was kind of going down this bad spiral. I started fighting after college, but I wasn't in it 100% because I was just living kind of a crazy lifestyle. But what actually got me into bodybuilding, I would say, like, if there's an aha moment, I guess you'd put it. After college, I got into a relationship with a really bad dude. And it got to the point where it got pretty violent and he was just no good. And it was such a bad situation that I ended up, in a courtroom trying to get legal action to keep this guy away from me after like all this stuff had happened. So I just remember I left that courtroom and I was at such a low place. Like I remember he had worked his way up to just isolating me from, all my friends, all my family, even my dog was a threat, at that point. And I was just so low and broken emotionally and didn't know who I was and had just, kind of let this person demoralize me for so long. And I was at such a low point where I couldn't even, when I walked down the street, I wouldn't even hold my head up. All I could do was look at the floor. And I somehow found the courage to, fight this guy in court and get him away from me. And I just remember I left the courtroom and I was just thinking about everything that had happened to me and how did I let somebody devalue me and make me think how worthless I am in this world for so long. And I was mad at myself because I realized, like, you didn't protect yourself at all. Like you you accepted this kind of thing, like you deserved it, and you don't, and it's time to focus on yourself. You do have good in you, and there are good parts of you that should be amplified. And I think my whole life I was always trying to please other people, even if it was at the expense of my mental health or me or my physical health, anything. So I kind of got to a breaking point where I was like, fuck everybody, like respectfully, fuck everybody. I'm going to take this time in my life to grow the fuck up and value myself and treat myself with the same energy that I've been trying to give to everybody else my whole life. And I did. So I left the courtroom and I said, I'm going to clean my life up. I'm going to stop partying. I'm going to go to the gym. I wasn't like, hey, I'm going to be a bodybuilder. I just wanted to eat healthier. I wanted to wake up in not bad situations every morning, kind of get on a routine, give myself some structure. Cause I just went through some kind of like traumatic shit, So that's what I did. I started waking up, started going to the gym every day, started doing some cardio, started, eating chicken and eggs and cooking my own meals. Just giving myself some self-care. And then I still had all this like anger from just the things that had happened to me and stuff. And the more I weightlifted, I started feeling like I was really like healing. I was like, this is great. This is like therapy. Like I'm feeling empowered. I'm feeling like I'm healing. I'm feeling like a strong woman on the inside and outside. I'm discovering my values because I'm having to put in this work for everything I've earned. And I'm learning the value of patience and hard work and discipline. And I got so addicted to it so quickly. I mean, the competing stuff was cool. I mean, that was icing on the cake when I started winning shows, but it really was, and I think it is for a lot of people. It saved me. It saved my life. It came in at a moment when I needed it. And I took it and ran with it.
That's amazing. That's a really cool story. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. But I also feel like there's a lot of people that they might be in a similar situation as to where you were, maybe, in a relationship or maybe just not taking care of themselves. How did you flip that switch to just waking up that next day being like, what, this is now something that I'm doing for myself?
I think everybody's different. But me personally, I've always been the type of person where like, I'll give something my all, whether it's like a relationship or a project or something. I'll give something my all to the point where until I have nothing left to give. And then I kind of just snap. And I'm, if it was a relationship, I'd try as much as I could to the point where it'd be like, all right, I'm done. I can't do anything else. Right. I'd always like exhaust all my resources. And then when I make a decision, it's like, it's final in my head. I don't really second guess myself. I've always been like that. I always just know if it's something I want to do, or if it's not, I don't want to do it at all. There's never been, I'm not a gray area type of person where I'm like, well, maybe I should. It's never been like that with me. I'm very black and white about the moves I make, and I'm very sure about them. So that was part of it. And also I think I was just so broken, dude. Honestly, like I didn't even recognize myself. I was at the point where I was like, I have nothing to lose right now. Like, I was like, what if I go in this gym and look like an idiot? Like, it didn't matter. Like, what if I failed? Like, who cares? I'm already like hanging out in the failure area. You know what I mean? And I think it sounds like a bad place to be, but I think it's a very powerful place to be, rather than when you're on the top of the world and you think everyone loves you and you have a lot to lose, right? That sometimes makes it harder for people to take risks or change their life. But like, I was lucky. Like that was a bad thing that happened to me. It was the best thing because it was the first time in my life that I was able to put my ego down and make real moves without taking my ego into an account of how am I going to look? Like, is this dumb? I didn't care. And I had so much pain at the time that when I was in the gym, like, I was like, oh, this shit burns when I'm squatting. I was like, not as bad as all that other shit burnt me. Like, I could do this all day. I have unlimited negative energy. And for once in my life, I'm going, instead of channeling it into something like drugs or partying or a downward spiral, I'm going to try channeling this energy into something like fucking weightlifting. And that was beautiful. Like, I was like, wow, so I can use bad things that have happened to me and channel it into something positive. And I mean, that was it for me.
That is beautiful.
I've never looked back.
That's amazing.
Back. Yeah.
So, okay. You go for it, Paul.
Yeah, that there's like a lot of resilience.
Lost you. We lost you. Your mic.
Sorry, there's a lot of resilience there. Can you hear me?
Kind of. You keep going in and out.
Yeah.
Now?
You're good. Go for it.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of resilience there in your story. Like, I mean, I haven't heard of, such resilience, but I'm curious about the physical injury too. You had a pretty serious surgery. In the recovery, I was listening to that piece. How did that come about? Like, how long did it take you to actually physically recover from the surgery?
So I got my surgery. It was probably about 9 hours. I was on the table. Had to donate a lot of blood before, of my own blood, because I had like multiple transfusions. So when I woke up from that, I was in the ICU unit, and I was in ICU for about a week. And then they put me in like the general hospital area. I don't know how long, because honestly, I had so much pain meds in me. I don't remember much of the hospital at all. And I was on a morphine drip for a while. And so I remember I went home, and I don't know how long I was in bed. I mean, I know everyone's different, but I was probably in bed for like a week or so. And then I remember the first time I got up and tried to walk, I immediately hit the floor, like didn't even get a step in. But my job from that day on, so I was at my parents' house, obviously, because I was a kid. So we had a pool, like a screened in pool around back. And every day my job was to get up and walk around that pool 3 times. And my mom, bless her soul, would get up with me, and she would walk next to me and hold me, and we would walk around the pool 3 times. And sometimes that took us like 2 hours to do. And I did that every day for a couple weeks. And then, so my surgery was in June. So by August, I was at my first day of high school. I mean, I wasn't running around and like, I was like walking very carefully, but I turned like a 9-month recovery into like a 2-month window. I was back up on my feet at school.
Crazy. Do you still have back pain now, like with your training and all that? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, it's better than it was, obviously, because I was like in excruciating pain. But so now I'm kind of having the problem. So after I got my surgery, it takes a couple years for your spine to fuse to the hardware to fuse to your bone and everything to be really sturdy. And a lot of those years were me just even getting feeling back from nerve damage. Like I can't really feel anything in my left hip nerve wise. In certain parts of my body, I can't feel anything still. But I think the more I weight trained, strengthening the muscles that are supporting my spine have helped me a lot. But also now I'm encountering more issues with, I'm having a lot more pain because of the size I've put on. So I do get pain in like the top half of my back and maybe some parts of my lower back where my curve was the most pronounced, because my curve was kind of like a capital S. So now my muscles around a doctor actually just told me this not too long ago, because I went and was like, what is this about? My doctor was like, you're really just growing really fast, and it's pushing on. So my muscles now are bigger, and they're just pushing more on the hardware on my spine. Is it going to do anything? No. Am I at risk for like injury more than anyone else? No. But that stuff's never coming out of my back. That hardware is never coming out of my back ever. So it's I do a lot of stretching, a lot of stretching, which helps me significantly. I have a physical therapist he stretches me more than I usually do. I do a lot of stuff with like lacrosse balls on the wall, just keeping things as loose as I can. Honestly, there's not much more I can do besides that. Just keeping everything stretched and loose and flexible, and then continuing to strengthen the muscles around my spine. Because that shit's not coming on my back, and I'm not getting any smaller.
For sure. And you've got big goals, and you can't just complain about it because that's not going to help, right? So, I mean, that's actually really interesting for me to know, because I had a client who she was an Olympic judo champion. And actually, before she went to the Olympics, it's almost a very similar story. She had not scoliosis, but she was in an accident that she had to get her spine fused as well. And she deals with back pain and stuff. And so I would constantly remind her that you have to, take that into account. Whenever you're going to go train, you have to spend more time doing your mobility, stability, stretching. Like, you just have to put the work in, right? It's like,
that's the thing.
It's not going away.
Right. And it's not, but one thing that just bothers me a lot is I hear people, they'll be like, oh, I would do that, but I have this problem. And I'm like, okay, I get that. I do get that, because I have a big problem too in my back. And I could easily be like, well, I would bodybuild, but I have this spine thing. But it's okay, you can say that, or you can be like, all right, well, maybe the world's not fair, and I don't have a perfect spine. So I guess I have to work a little bit harder. And I guess I have to be a little more resourceful. Maybe I have to stretch more than the next person. Maybe I can't do the same back day as everyone else because it doesn't work, and I have to find new exercises, and it's frustrating and whatever. But it's like you said, you just have to put in the work. So everyone's got an issue or a thing that isn't ideal. I don't think any bodybuilder is just person is just perfectly fit to whatever they are supposed to do. And if they are, they should be working to find the ways to be more perfect at it. It's like you said, it's just, if you're willing to do the work, there's probably never going to be some obstacle physically or mentally that you're feel like you literally can't get around, So it is that. I mean, people don't know I had major back surgery when I get up on the Olympia stage next to the best backs in the world, and that's because, do I expect somebody to place me better because I worked harder and I'm at a disadvantage anatomically? No, I'm just going to keep working harder.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you're the only one that knows how hard you work for what you got. Right. So, I mean, I've known you now for about a year, and I worked with you and seen how good you pose, and you helped me a lot. And I had no idea you dealt with any of that stuff. So that's pretty incredible. And, talking about that, with posing and stuff, how do you pose so well? I think everybody wants to.
It's unbelievable. I was just going to interject and say, I work with injured workers for our province, so your state. But you know how many back fusions I've seen, and what you were saying is so pertinent, because people will just use it as an excuse, and they'll pop, whatever pain medication, and they won't do their mobility work, and they won't see their physiotherapist because they're scared. And there's that psychosocial element that we have here. And you're an example. You know what? I'm gonna show people your page next time I get someone, because you're an inspiration to people who. I'm sure you'd be an inspiration to people who just had surgery, so they could know. Not only can they sit through 8 hours days nursing or whatever they're doing, there is someone doing a high level. This is an extremely high level physicality. And I'll let Robbie get into the posing though, because I've seen your posing, and it's wow. You actually posed with Chloe from Ottawa. I've seen you guys are friends, I think.
Yeah, she's one of my good friends. She's cool. Amazing. She was just down here.
I'll let Robin.
Okay.
No, so I was just gonna say, what got you so inspired to be a great poser in this sport? Because I think that's one of the things that this sport is missing right now, is incredible posing routines.
Yeah. Oh, I do love posing. I love me a good pose. What got me into posing? Well, okay. So I think when I first started, I was in bikini, and I learned the bikini posing, and I was like, this is not it for me. I actually hated posing when I first started, because I was in bikini and I just didn't feel right in it. But then I think one of the happy mistakes I made when I started moving up to women's physique, is I was like, okay, I have to learn how to pose. So I just was Googling bodybuilding posing. And the first stuff that popped up was Frank Zane and Lee Labrada and all these amazing posers. And I started watching that, and I was like, oh my God, these guys are really talented and serious. And I started watching all the like Carla Dunlap, and I would watch those routines. And the routines back then, if you guys know, like everybody took posing really serious, and it was serious, and you could tell, and they were much more advanced and everything. So when I saw that, I was like naive, and I was like, okay, so this is how everybody poses. And if I want to win a show, I'm going to have to like be like this. So I just started posing as much as I could. And I still hadn't really found my style. Like a lot of it was me just kind of copying people and learning, you know, even basic moves, because you can't really put together things cool if you don't have a repertoire of a certain amount of poses, right? You need to have if you want to go from the front to the back, you have to know a front double and a back double, and before you do all the other fun stuff. So, and then I remember I saw like people like Kai Green. I saw him for the first time, and I got really excited because I saw how he was bringing a dance element into his posing. And up until that point, I thought that, you know, I wasn't going to be able to incorporate my own style or my own flavor or take any artistic risks or have any sort of theater or dancing involved in my posing. I thought it had to be very like, everyone had to do this certain way. And once I saw him do that, it kind of just liberated me a little bit. I was like, oh shit, like I can probably do my own thing now. So I started working on posing. Like I started just actually dancing, and then I would practice like stopping and putting a bodybuilding pose in. So I'd do like a little 4-count dance combo, and then I'd stop and I'd hold a pose. And then I would do another little and then I'd stop and I held a pose. And I was like, all right, like this is fucking cool, and nobody else is doing this. And then I did it. I was like, I started doing my routines on stage, and you know, everybody really liked them. And I was like, okay, well, this is awesome. And it is awesome because I feel like I'm getting to be myself. I get to, you know, I try to tell a story every time I do a routine. And I think that's really powerful because you can make people feel alive again, or you can, you know, I hated going to bodybuilding shows as an amateur, and even now where you just see kind of like someone comes on to pose and you see the judges are like taking a break to text on their phones, or someone's everyone goes to the bathroom or so. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like this should be like the most exciting part. And it is for me at least. And I know it's not for everybody. I know a lot of people hate posing, and they just, they wouldn't get on stage at all if they had a choice. They just want to be in the gym and lift, but to each their own. But I mean, I'm a performer at the end of the day. Like I'm a bodybuilder, but I'm a performer first and foremost. I'm a performer, and I'm an artist that bodybuilds. And that's how I look at it. So the world embracing my style is like a cool side effect, I guess, you know, but it's great. I get to lift in the gym, and I still got to keep that performance element that I thought I was going to have to put down for a long time.
There's definitely a lot to like unpack there, but I think what you said, like all of that stuff is so valuable for any bodybuilder moving forward. No matter what division you're in, there is always going to be an element of like, you have to bring like your energy and your uniqueness to the stage. And that's ultimately what you get looked at for. You know, even like in like bikini, men's physique, it's less so, but you still need to have like a certain energy, a certain flair.
Yeah, you do.
For sure. But definitely like in bodybuilding, women's physique, women's bodybuilding, like that, and fitness, obviously, that's where you can really, really shine and set yourself apart. Now, how does someone go from like having no idea how to pose? And a lot of people will say like, you know, I don't have like a rhythm and things like that. How can they develop the ability to get on stage and pose really well? Is it just practice? Do you have to, because I know what you do, and you practice basically every single day. I see you at the gym practicing before you train, after you train, in the morning. Is that what it takes? You just have to keep practicing every single day till you get good at it, or what?
I think everyone's different. Like there's some people that are, you know, naturally, you know, you can see a kid and you put your kid's doing all these flips and stuff. You're like, oh, they'd probably be good at gymnastics or dancing or something. And then obviously you have people who are a little more awkward and they don't have any rhythm. So everyone's going to be a little different. But I mean, even if you do have this like predisposition for something like this, like you could argue that I did, having a dance background, like, oh, she used to be a dancer. Like that's why she's so good. No, that's not true. Like I get that a lot actually. Oh, well, you were a dancer. Oh, that makes sense. That's why you're a good poser. No, it's not, because I wasn't a good poser when I first started, and I'm still nowhere near some people and nowhere near this version I have of myself in my head. And I think you should, just like training, it's the same with your posing. Like you might have great genetics as a bodybuilder, but does that mean you should train with 25% the effort and rest on your genetics? No, the reason that you're going to make it to be the top of the top, like if you want to be elite at something, is you perform and you practice regardless of your predispositions. Like, so you're talented, cool. Pose like you're not. Practice that much. You have good genetics, train like you have shitty ones. That's how I feel. When I first started, if you want to be more specific on things I did, like I said, I did a lot of research. I watched a lot of different posers who had different styles. I also watched a lot of dancers. I looked at a lot of different dancers. I started taking ballet class again. I started doing like contemporary stuff because my posing at first was very hard and like it was all pop lock because I have a strong hip hop background. So if you watch my posing now, I'm kind of becoming more comfortable with more flowy, soft routines and soft music. That's me challenging myself as an artist, and that's what you should do as a poser as well. Go to dance classes. There's football players who take dance classes so they can have better footwork on the field. Does that mean they want to be a ballerina? No, but it applies. Read, get accustomed to music. So I always tell my clients, like, start listening to different types of music, or start listening to a song that has a lot of artists will use the same kind of counts for their song. So start playing that and getting to that point. Start practicing freestyling. A lot of people are like, oh my God, I want to learn how to freestyle. Like the best way to learn how to freestyle is playing a song. And even if a lot of people will start freestyling on a song and then they mess up and then they stop. So I always tell people, even if you're playing the song, just try to get through a whole song. So even if you try to keep moving. So say you start doing all these nice poses, everything's looking good, then you mess up somewhere. Instead of freezing, just keep moving. You might just be moving with your arms around looking ridiculous, but get used to performing under pressure. And then while you're still moving, you calm yourself down, you get reacquainted with the beat, then pick back up in another pose. That's helpful for on stage. That's putting yourself under pressure. So there's a lot of tricks you can do. I mean, I used to sometimes pose with like a blindfold on my face so I could get used to not looking at myself in the mirror, and I could feel that I was in the right position in certain poses. So, and you got to kind of get out of the box at the end of the day, because there's really no book for this shit. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, and work with other people. Like one of the reasons I like working with people like Chloe and Kai and people like that is because there's things I can learn from them.
Yeah.
We were actually podcast with Terrence Ruffin. I had a separate podcast
with Terrence Ruffin.
Yeah.
He's right. He's like right there.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Tell him what's up.
He says what's up.
Oh, yeah. So Terrence and I, we had this, Terrence probably remembers, but we had this discussion about, is bodybuilding like an art, or is it, a sport? And we went on, in some detail, and I think posing brings back to that, like that it is an art form. And the problem is we've lost that in the 90s, and I agree with you. It's a beautiful, like, I love posing. Personally, that's why I saw Chloe at the gym, and I saw her moving, and I was like, wow, I want to be that. And I'm the stereotypical guy that cannot move. So Robin's question is very pertinent, like, how do you get better at it? Fluidity, if you don't have that kinesthetic sense, it's very difficult for some people to actually flow. And I've been trying and practicing, but you're right, probably teaming up with someone is always a good strategy. So
yeah,
like get yourself a posing coach, get someone to help you with the transition. Is there anything that an amateur or even a pro that just can't move? Is there anything other than registering for ballet, like, which is probably a great idea? Is there anything else you can do?
Yeah, I mean, you can. You can, like I said, a great what? You can hire me.
Rachel.
No, yeah. No, I mean, there's different things you can do. Like you said, and some people think they're really bad with flow and they're just like, well, I'm not good at flow. I'm not going to try. Like, you're probably one of those people who's going to have to try more. Like, if you're a nervous person, which most people are, I would say even if you don't want to hire a posing coach yet, just go in your living room, like put on YouTube, put on a poser, like, on the internet, like we were just saying, like Terrence is a great poser. You could go, if you're a classic guy or a bodybuilder guy and you want to learn how to get more flow, because he has great flow. So why don't you go into your living room, go in your house? First of all, no one's going to see you, which is really important. I think a lot of people are like, I'm not going to pose at the gym because people are watching me. That's a huge element that people don't think about. That's going to hinder you from really learning anything. Like, I've had posing clients where I've done 3 or 4 sessions with them just alone at their house with their clothes on before I can even get them to take their shirt off, because I'm trying to create a comfortable environment. So if you want to be able to flourish and learn something that's very new and possibly scary and embarrassing, put yourself in a safe situation, right? So put them on in your living room. You can slow YouTube down, pick a little like 10-second clip, learn that combo. Okay, so now you have a little combo, practice that. Now you got that under your belt. Then practice learning another one, like a 10-second clip, Also having a repertoire. So I see a lot of this is kind of how I was at the beginning too, as an issue for me. I was a great dancer, but I wasn't a great bodybuilding poser. So I had a lot of cool dance moves, but then that doesn't work, right? Because we're doing bodybuilding, not dancing. So you have to have those poses to actually implement into all the other fun stuff. So you have to master your basic poses. Once you master those basic poses, then you can start moving on to cool, more advanced ones. And the bigger repertoire you have, it's going to be easier for you to be more creative. So, like, for instance, if I did the front double bicep, so that's one pose, but I could do something different with my legs and then turn. Now that's a second pose. I could do the same front double bicep in a side lunge. That's a third pose. You know what I mean? You can do, if you master certain leg positions, like a kneeling position. If you get that kneeling position down, you can do 8 different poses with your hands, and now you got 8 different poses. So that's all cool stuff you can do. Build your repertoire. Yeah. Make it like your homework. Say like twice a week, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to learn 10 seconds of a bodybuilder's routine on YouTube, and I can just replay it as much as I can. No one's here to make me feel stupid. And then you got a little 10-second combo, and then you got another one, and you're constantly adding on. I do that. I look at dancers all over the world. I look at posers. I look at all kinds of things because I can't get to a point where everyone's telling me, oh, you're so great, you're one of the best posers, and then I just rely on that and I don't evolve. You have to constantly find ways to be challenging yourself. And I do the same things. I give homework to myself as a poser, even if you have to make it up. So there's not a lack for any work for any poser if you want to be ongoing with your art. And whether you consider yourself like, oh, I'm an artist and I'm a dancer and I love this or not, you still should be working that hard. Like, you really should.
Yeah.
Can I ask one question about that whole posing element? If someone is like a shitty poser, like let's just say by nature they just don't have it, should they challenge themselves, and go on stage?
You're cutting out.
I lost you on the last part. Could they go on stage and what?
And pick a challenging routine, or should they stick to the basics and look more professional?
So that's kind of like how I'll say this. So if you're a shitty, what he was asking is if you're a shitty poser and you just really don't have any flow, should you go on stage and challenge yourself with a more advanced routine? So I would say if you are a shitty poser by the time you get on stage, no, you shouldn't, because you're not going to magically turn into an amazing poser. If you have an incredible routine that you didn't practice, most people aren't going to rise to this occasion of pressure and just be like the white swan or something. So no, but on the other hand, if you're a shitty poser, I don't think you should forever accept like, hey, I'm a shitty poser. This is never going to change. So I should always do the bare minimum and do something really boring that doesn't put me out of my comfort zone. No, the way you should look at it is, hey, I have a show in 24 weeks. I'm in my off season. I'm a shitty poser. So right now I'm going to start working on being a good poser. And then, you know, be honest with yourself. Like wherever you're at, when you need to start working on your routine, whatever level you're at, I would try to do something that you can handle. Because at the end of the day, like we all want to do cool stuff on stage, and you should be constantly working towards evolving and becoming better so you can do cooler stuff on stage. But at the end of the day, you're here to showcase your physique. So you don't want to go out there and like do something stupid or do something that's going to be unflattering to you. So, you know, I have a lot of clients who have posing routines that are pretty beginner, but so that's my job. How can I find a way to make their routine and make the audience say, wow, that's a really good poser, and trick the audience, even though they're not doing super advanced moves. And you do that by your presentation and by, even if you do have more simple moves, your stage presence can trick the audience to thinking you're a better poser than you are. If you're hitting everything very clean and your technique is very nice, those all play a role. So it doesn't always have to be like super fancy and something super fast and intricate. You can be an average poser and have people think you're a great one, not doing anything technically crazy, just by the way you're presenting it. Like that's a big thing.
Yeah. I think a good place to start is just when you pick your music, whatever poses you're going to do that music, just make sure that you're hitting them on beat. That's like probably the one thing that people will notice right away. Like no one's going to be like, oh, like this guy's hitting a side chest. He could have done a way better side chest. No, they're only going to notice like, oh, you know what? This is kind of offbeat. I don't, you know, and they're going to get that feeling like, oh, there's something wrong here. Like, and I think we talked about this before, like when we were doing my posing routine, it's like, even if you make a mistake, nobody's going to know that you made that mistake unless you pause and then you're offbeat. You just keep going with it. As long as you can hit poses on that beat, people are going to be like, hey, I like it. You know? Yeah.
That's why I said I have a lot of my clients, like, I'm like, play the song. And if you mess up, like, don't stop. I don't care if you just keep moving and you look like one of those worms outside the car dealership. I don't care. It's not always going to be like that. But what you're going to learn how to do is you're going to learn how to work under pressure, and you're going to learn how to regroup when you fuck up and come back in. And if it's like you said, if it's a beat, you know, even if you fuck up, you know that beat's going to be right there when you come back, and you can get right back into it and you can keep going. It's so true what you said. Like, I can't tell you how many times I think I like don't even really make full routines anymore, because like half the time I would go on stage, I would do like, I'd plan this whole badass routine, and then after like 10 seconds or 15 seconds, I would like forget the rest of the routine, and I'd always end up freestyling. So it's like, you have to be ready for moments like that. And even if you're a great poser, off stage in front of your, you know, your girlfriend and your mom and people you're comfortable with, it's a whole different ball game when you get up there in your underwear in front of a bunch of people you don't know, and there's a bunch of lights on you, you're depleted. It's a whole different ball game. So making yourself uncomfortable, and learning music. Yeah, I spend a lot of time just listening to music. But I think if you get ready early and you prepare and give yourself time and be honest with yourself and don't put it off till the last minute, because that's not something you can sweep under the rug. Like, you literally have to go up there and show people what you got. So don't make it so hard on yourself.
I think this is all really good advice, and I think it's very motivating for myself, because I was pretty happy with the posing routine that we put together. But you know, it's like we only did a couple sessions. It's like, man, if I had spent a whole off season practicing my flow, we worked a lot on transitions. It's like I improved a lot in 2 or 3 sessions. If I spent more time doing it, I know I could be better. And that's like you were saying, it's like, doesn't matter where you are right now. Just don't put a limit on yourself. Don't say, you know, I'm pretty good at posing and I'm okay with that. Like, no, I want to be the best poser, and the only way I'm going to get there is just to keep practicing. But the last thing I want to talk to you about, which I thought was really cool, is that you've been working with Kai Green lately. Can you talk about what you've been doing with Kai, and, you know, what it was like meeting him, training with him, and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Kai, he is a cool dude. So,
for sure.
I'll tell you, I met Kai. I obviously wanted to work with him for a really long time, because he was an inspiration to me, because he was kind of one of the first people that like kind of helped me take that limit off myself, of saying that I can't, be different, or I can't bring my own style or my dance into bodybuilding posing. So he kind of gave me that affirmation when I first found him posing that I could do that. So I always really looked up to him. And my thing was like, how could I get in front of Kai? How could I get with him? Because I felt like once we met, we would click like artistically, because we're both really weird. So I found his video guy, Johnny Styles. And I remember I was at a posing seminar, and I knew that if I could get in with Johnny Styles, I could get in with Kai. So I like saw Johnny there, and I like literally begged him. I was like, I'm Rachel Daniels. I know you don't know me. Like, please get me in front of Kai Green. Like, I'll do anything that you want. Like, he didn't like take me seriously at first, but I finally got a meeting with Kai, and it took like a long time. And he finally texted me, and he was like, can you be down here like tomorrow? And he lives in Boca. It's like 3.5 hours. I was like, yep, I'll be there. So I showed up, and I met him, and we talked for a long time about posing, and then we freestyled for a while, and it was really cool. We put on some clown masks and did like all this weird like pop lock stuff. And we had a really good time. And I think I taught him a lot, and he taught me a good bit. So we decided to keep meeting, and we decided we're going to like, let's do a routine together. Like, fuck the freestyling. Let's do a routine. So he kind of let me take the lead on choreographing a routine and picking a song that I wanted. And, which I was like super honored to be able to put my own stuff in there. And so we did. So we had about 4 meetings, and of me going to Boca, and I would go down there like 2 days a week. And we made this routine, and we actually just finally filmed it in Miami last weekend. So we had all our camera guys in costumes in like this cool venue, and it was like perfect. So that was our project together. And he's a good dude. He's really down to earth. He's a little crazy. I'm a little crazy though too. So I got it. And we had a great time, and I'm happy to call him a friend, and we'll probably do stuff in the future, but for now we're just doing that project. That actually plays a part in kind of a bigger project I'm doing a docu-series that I'm going to start dropping pretty soon. So you guys are probably the first people I've told about it. It's called The War of Art. And it's me pretty much going through my process as an artist, and how bodybuilding fits into that, and how I'm kind of developing my new style and my new era. And each season is me working with a different bodybuilder or artist who is a bodybuilder, and my experience with them, and what I take away from them, and the work that goes in behind it, and how I kind of maintain that with my bodybuilding lifestyle. So probably have Chloe on one season, and Kai is the first season. So you guys will get to see all that when it comes out next week.
That sounds really cool. Is that going to be on your YouTube channel?
Yeah, I've been slacking on YouTube for like too long, so I'm trying to like get it going.
Amazing. Absolutely, I can't wait to see that. Actually, you
Yeah.
know what? Posing is probably my favorite part.
Yay!
Yeah, it is. Unfortunately, I'm a terrible poser, but that said,
well, give me a call.
Yeah, I'm reaching out to you. Trust me. But when I see like Bob Harris and some of the guys, and then I watch the modern posers right now, like Terrence, yourself, even amateurs that can pose. I think to myself, wow, Kai is phenomenal. I love watching Kai's videos. So I like the artistry. Like Kai's an overall artist talking about Kai. He paints, he does, a number of things. And I think that's missing, the art. I'm curious, do you think bodybuilding, obviously you come from an athletic background. So when you answer this question, you're going to probably answer that it's a sport.
I know what you're going to say. I want to know the answer too. Yeah.
Yeah, let's hear it.
What is the question?
Is bodybuilding more of a sport or an art?
Well, I think that depends on who you ask. That's tough. For me, it's an art. I would say that I think the time you're in the gym, it's a sport, but it's so much more. That's such a small percentage of this entire lifestyle. I would consider it more of an art, but I think that kind of depends on the person. Like that is for me, and it might not be for someone else. Like there might be someone else who it's all about lifting the weight, and or someone else it's all about winning and beating somebody. For me, it's about sharing my art in every aspect, and it's all entangled. You know, the things I have to do in the gym, my practice, my posing, my presentation, everything I do is in my life is for my art. So I think everyone else, it kind of goes back to that thing is like, what's your why? So I think everyone's why would kind of answer that question differently. But for me, it's an art. And I know it is for Kai too. Like a cool moment that I had with him is when he introduced me to somebody came up to the gym and said something to him when we were working out. And he introduced me and said, this is Rachel. She's a performer and a physique artist. And I just thought that was so cool because like anybody else in the world would have introduced me as like, this is Rachel, she's a bodybuilder. And so that just kind of shows you there's other people out there, you know, like me who take on the bigger picture of all this, that this is an art and you're an artist who bodybuilds. Me and Terrence were just talking about that a while ago. You're not just a bodybuilder. You're an artist who bodybuilds, and hopefully that's one of your many talents that you have under your belt. But yeah, for me, it's an art, and
we had
that's a cool perspective.
Parents as well, you know, about it being an art. And the thing I see is it's meta art, you know, like it's art on top of art, which is crazy because even our physiques themselves are art. And when we do a photo shoot, you do a photo shoot, Robin, that's an art in itself, and it's building on someone else's art. So it's meta. It's like you're stepping out of art and creating new art. And I think that's one of the beauties about bodybuilding. People just don't see it. Like it's more than just a way of life. It's actually artistic in the sense that
it is.
And finding your why, that's a really good function.
Yeah. Your body is ultimately like a canvas, right? And you're the artist. You paint it, you sculpt it, you worked for all this stuff on it. So this performance you're doing is basically like your art show. Like this is your chance to show everybody how you painted this, why you painted it the way you did. You're wearing your pain on your physique, like what you went through. Like they don't know, nobody knows all the shit you went through to get up on that stage, right? And the only way you can tell them is by showing them with what you do on stage. So why would you throw that away?
And too many people focus on like being mass monsters.
Yeah. I mean, that's great. Like it's great to be huge and freaky and look like a dinosaur. I get it. It's awesome. But it's not like very impressive to me to see a bunch of huge dudes and you know, you're out of breath walking 10 feet to the other side of the stage to hit a most muscular. And then you're Robin's a big dude and he can move. Like that kid can move all over the place. He's a great poser and he's huge. So I don't think that's an excuse. You hear that a lot with the guys. Oh, I'm too big. I can't do that. No, you just don't practice enough. Like that's like me saying the back thing. Oh, I got a weird back. Can't squat. Like, yes, the fuck I can. So it's the same thing. I mean, I'd love to see it taken more seriously. I think maybe if they still judged it, then maybe people would take it more seriously. But
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Actually, do you guys think that it would advance the sport of bodybuilding if the posing routines were judged? Because I believe that it would 100%.
100%. I think it should be scored again, and I think it should be valued.
I think it should be. I think when you set the bar, it's like kind of like in my eyes, it's kind of like being like, hey, we're not going to judge your arms anymore. How many people would fucking train arms? You know what I mean? Like it's the same thing. It's kind of like you can't really be mad at the sport if you're like, well, we don't care about that. Why should they? But I think it would bring more life back to it. It's just crazy. Like I just don't think people look at like all the greats. You know, if you go back and look at like the 80s and the 90s and stuff and look at their routines and just what they did, like, and the crowd was so like into it and just it was electric. so I think we kind of get away with it now that we have, it kind of gets about like who looks the freakiest, and that's important too. But you know, like I'm gonna come peeled and shredded and looking insane, but I'm also gonna bring the posing element. You don't have to have one or the other.
Yeah. I think it would be amazing if the posing routines were judged again, because they would just, like you're saying, like it would bring a whole new element to the sport. Everybody would try their very best to create the ultimate posing routine, and we would see so many new styles. And I think like for myself, the goal that I have when I do a posing routine, or at least in the past, was like, what can I show the audience to entertain them with something new? And so I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you about your New York, your pro debut at the New York. But before we get off the posing topic, it's just funny because it reminded me when I did my pro debut at the New York. I didn't win it like you did, but I did a pretty cool posing routine. And the posing routine that I did was it was King Kong by Jibs, and then I did so it was King Kong, and then it was Soulja Boy. And then it was like Drake's song. So it was 3 songs. So it's pretty hilarious. And it was it's on my Instagram. Like it's on one, like I'll show you guys after. But so basically what I did was like, like King Kong, and I come out beating my chest, and I'm jumping around like a gorilla, and I'm hitting poses, and and then the Soulja Boy comes on after, and I'm like, and I'm doing all this crazy stuff, right? And the crowd was going like kind of wild, but then I think it was like Bob Chickarillo or somebody. They posted something on Facebook like, oh, like this is ruining bodybuilding. Like we just want to see guys hit most musculars. And I was like, hey man, like I'm just trying to have fun out here. I'm just trying to entertain the crowd. And there was like this huge Facebook controversy. It was like, oh, this is like, is this like, we don't want to see this, or people were like, oh, we do want to see this. It's just like,
your eyes.
Yeah, like you know what I mean. It's like, hey, honestly, like because I was like the last guy to go. I was like 10th or whatever. So I was like the last guy to do. But all the other guys before me, and not to knock them, they're all, everybody has their own style, whatever. But they were all pretty much the same. And I could tell, like, as you watch a similar routine and then you watch another similar routine, like after a while, you just, like you were saying, like people just start to lose interest, and they're looking on their phones and going to get drinks or whatever. They're not paying attention anymore. You're there to entertain the crowd. That's what they're there for. That's why they're paying money to watch you guys. So it's like, and then boom, this guy starts coming around, jumping out like a gorilla. It's like, whether or not you like it or not, I guarantee you're entertained. But anyways, you
can do both though, right? So it's got to be a mix of both. Like you shouldn't be out there just like acting crazy and not doing any bodybuilding poses, but like you shouldn't just be doing boring bodybuilding poses with no other element. Like it's a happy medium. It has to be a happy medium, and once you get there, then it's a new style, and that's what people love.
It's like when King Tamale did the pop and lock. He did the robot and came out with the pop and lock. I mean, that was one of the first ones.
Yeah.
Since, the 70s, when or the 80s, when you had Bob Harris and all the guys with Flow, but that was the first kind of pop and lock robot routine that came out, and it was like different, right? But I love it how posing, like it emotes whatever the person and the individual is feeling too. Like you pick a song and it means something, right? Like I did Phil Collins in the Air for when I did the Arnolds. Unfortunately, I never made it to the stage to do the routine. But I mean, it was like, that song was significant to me. And the audience would feel it because like this is the moment I've been waiting for all my life.
They can tell. I always ask whenever, like a lot of times now when I get a client, I'll ask them, like, why did you pick this song? Or, what made you pick this song? And they'll be like, oh, I like it. And I'm like, give me more, And then people start to tell you like, oh my God, like I had this debt. I lost this person in my life died, or like, this reminds me of this experience. And you bring that out of them. And I'm like, okay, now do the routine again and tell me that story that you just told me as to why you picked that song without opening your mouth. Just do it with your routine. And that's how it should be. Like if that song doesn't represent something super important to you, or you can't channel like a significant experience, like I don't know, I think the audience can tell.
Rob,
so check this out,
Soulja Boy.
I will check this out, guys. let me know what you think about this. Can you guys
like, that's why I picked Soulja Boy.
All right, here we go.
Oh my God, I need to see this. Okay,
put the music on, Robin. I want to hear it.
How do you do that?
I don't know.
It's not the same.
Can you not hear it?
Somebody started it off.
I said it.
Get Terrence to play Soldier Boy in the back.
I don't know if I can share the sound too.
You don't have to just send me.
Anyway, it starts off slow, whatever. I mean, you know what I mean? This is like the original style, right?
I've never seen that. You.
Can you guys hear music or no?
No.
No, but I can hear it in my head, so it's good.
Yeah, so this first part is like, I don't remember what the song was called, but I think it's like You and Me or something like that. You and Me Against the World, something like that. But
you move so good. I was so excited when we worked together because I was like, this is a big guy and he can fucking move.
Oh, we're going to do some more. I want to keep getting better at this posing thing, right? Because it's like once you see what's possible, like with what you've been doing, and just like with, Kai Green, he's always been a huge inspiration for me. It's like, man, we can do so much better. Yeah. So here's King Kong. Kong in the trunk, King Kong.
Oh, that's cool.
This is good for gorilla wear there, Robin.
You should gorilla wear will love this. Oh my God.
I admit I got a little too excited and, I was a little bit sloppy, but there's some good poses in there still.
This is lit. I like it.
Robin, can we practice this for my show next week? We're gonna do the King Kong.
You
King Kong,
Soldier
King
Boy,
Kong
tell him. Anyway, you guys get the idea. But yeah, I mean, it's like it was just fun, like it was just like that feeling of you guys know what I mean. Like when you get up there and that energy's pumping, you're just like, this is the best. Like nothing else matters but this right now. It's like, I don't know. I just feel like more people should take the posing routine that seriously. But yeah, that's it, right? Anyway, so I want to talk to you about your last year competition history because you won your pro card and then did your pro debut at the New York Pro. You won the New York Pro and then went to the Olympia in the same year. That's really cool. Can you tell us a little bit about how that was for you, like to experience that whole like rush of winning the pro debut, going to the Olympia? How was that?
Oh my God, it was fucking crazy. Like, if I'm being honest, yeah.
No kidding.
It was crazy. Yeah, it was the best year of my life. So I guess like this was August. I think around 6 weeks out from Tampa. I did Tampa Pro as an amateur in August. So like 6 weeks out, I parted ways with my first coach, which was really hard for me because he was like my dad and we were really close. And that was really emotional for me. But I went with Shelby Starnes and it was the best move I ever made. He's an amazing coach. And we were 6 weeks out and I kind of like sent him an emergency prep email. And I was like, you think we can do this? And he's like, we're going to try. So we did. And I don't know how we pulled it off, but I got in shape and I did Tampa Pro. I don't know like what the MPC version is called, Tampa Extravaganza or something.
Yeah, I think it's the Tampa Extravaganza. Yeah.
Okay, so I did the Extravaganza, and I won that, which was great. That was my national qualifier, and I was in like I was in a kind of the first shitty spot I'd been in like since before I started bodybuilding. Like I was in a place where I just lost my first coach. I had just got like fired from my job. I had like a relationship that just ended. Like felt like everything was kind of storming down on me at the time. And I had about 3 weeks in between before my pro card was the end of August. It was at Junior USA's. So I was in that spot again where I was feeling like I had nothing to lose because I had just lost like some significant relationships, like my job and my coach and all this other stuff. And I was but that's when I started doing the best. I was like, I'm super hungry right now. All I have is I felt like all I had was bodybuilding and like everything out of my life was kind of going out of control. But it was like, that's the one thing I can control. And I was like, no one's going to take this shit from me. So I like really went fucking hard for those 3 weeks. I posed so much. That's when I really started ramping up the posing. And I did Junior USA's. I won my class. I won the overall. Got my pro card, which was sick. Then my coach actually, I was doing an interview with JM right after, and he was like, so you're going to do New York Pro, right? And I was like, you're crazy. Like, no, why would I do that? I just got my pro card. That's a big pro show. And he was like, no, you should really do it. And I was like, okay. And then my coach said the same thing. He's like, let's just try. You're in Tampa. The show's going to be in Tampa this year because it wasn't because of COVID. It wasn't in New York. So they moved it to Tampa. It was like 10 minutes from my house. I was like, again, it's going back to the same thing. I was like, what do I have to lose? You know, I lose my first pro show. I'm not going to look dumb because I just got my pro card. So no one's expecting shit from me anyways. So those 6 days, I like woke up. I remember I woke up every morning and I wouldn't let myself eat my breakfast till I nailed all my mandatories, like, and my routine, like multiple times. I wouldn't let myself eat breakfast. So I was posing a ton. I was freaking out. I was really nervous. And then I did New York Pro and I won, which was like, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know. I almost feel like it meant more to me to win New York Pro than to do the Olympia, because it was just so, I was just kind of like, I did it. Like, fuck yeah. Like, good job, Rach. Like, you did it. You did it. And it was amazing. And they told me I was going to the Olympia, and I was like, fuck. So I thought I was going to have an off season after I got my pro card. I thought that was going to be my only show. So one or two shows turned into 4 shows. And it took a lot out of me to like push that extra mile to the Olympia. Because this all happened I went from, amateur to Olympia in 4 months. It was a crazy 4 months. And I didn't really have a lot of time to think about what was happening. When you guys asked me, like, how did that feel? I didn't have a lot of time to think about how it felt, because I was just like, I have to get ready for the show. I'll deal with all this after. But the Olympia was surreal. Like, it was amazing just being, some of the moments I cherished the most were just like being backstage with, all these other athletes. There's this kind of like sense of honor that I felt like in the air back there, where everyone's just like, we all worked hard to get here. We all understand the meaning of like what this means to be here. And it's just like massive respect. Like, some of these girls, I used to watch when I was doing bikini, like I'd watch their little inspiration videos to try to like get through my first bikini prep. And I'm like, that girl's like standing next to me right now on the line. Like, the Olympia was great because I didn't, I was just there. I was just so happy to be there. And, like, I remember this moment, they had this really long tunnel that you like walk through to get backstage. And I remember I was coming up there, and I remember Brandon Curry was like, walked up to the tunnel at the same time I did. And it was like one of those Super Bowl tunnels, they see the football players run through. And like, we just looked at each other, like, I don't know him. We just looked at each other, and he was like, you ready? And I was like, yep. And we just like walked down this tunnel together in silence. And I was like, this is so epic. Like, it was just like a moment. But
damn,
I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. It was obviously like all my dreams came true last year. And I'm so grateful. So much work came into it. And I know some people say, like, I've had a lot of people say like I was like an overnight champion or this or that. But I mean, only I know the stuff that I had to go through to get there. And I did it. And hopefully I'm going to do it many times. And I just try to stay the same that I was before. I mean, I'm an Olympian, but I'm still Rachel. Still have the same values. But if I can do anything, I just want other people to realize that they can do the same shit. Like, you don't have to have the perfect genetics or perfect anything. Like, if you fucking hustle, like, something's gonna happen. And you shouldn't ever let anybody tell you that you don't deserve everything you've ever wanted. Like, if they don't believe in you, fuck them.
Yeah, that is freaking amazing. It's like, guys, if you're struggling with shit, you got the shit storm coming down. Just be like Rachel. Turn that shit storm into the perfect storm and crush your shit. Just go out there and crush it.
Perfect. I need you as a commercial.
Okay, so I just want to shift gears a little bit before we wrap things up. I want to ask you your opinion here. What advice can you give to to an aspiring female competitor who isn't quite sure what class she is best suited for? Because that's a question I get as a coach quite often. It's like, hey, what class should I do? I'm like, well, what class do you want to do? How would you kind of help someone find the class that they're best suited for?
I obviously I'd first ask, like, what class do you want to do? And then maybe why, have them elaborate more, because I think a lot of people get biased. Like, they'll be like, oh, I want to do bikini. And it's like, when you ask them why, it's not always like their reason. It might be like, oh, well, my boyfriend said I would look great in bikini, or like everyone else said I should do bikini. And that way there's not going to get you anywhere, just with anything in this sport. It's like, oh, I'm going to be Olympian because someone told me I'd be good at it. Like, you're probably not going to get there then. So I think sitting down and picking your why is very important. If you're unsure, I mean, obviously you should talk to your coach, and like, if you have a certain amount of muscle or lack of, that's going to probably lead you in a certain pointing direction to start out. Like, if you're a smaller chick, like, I didn't have any other choice than to do bikini. I just didn't have the muscle when I started. So, and if you don't know, like, if you're on the fence between two categories, why not do both in a show? They have crossovers, you don't have to waste 2 preps doing 2 different categories. You can, if you're pretty close between the two and you don't know, do both and then get judges' feedback. You can email them your pictures and they'll usually tell you like which one you're more suited for. The girls who are talking more on like women's physique and bodybuilding, I try to get them to really like sit down and write out the things that are important to you, write out the things you're willing to do, the things you're willing not to do, and just make sure you really know like what goes into being an ambassador for each of these categories before you go. Because, women's bodybuilding is a really serious commitment, especially as a female. So is women's physique. So is figure, bikini, they all demand different things from the athletes. So maybe even talk to other athletes who have done those categories. But you have to ultimately, do what's going to make you happy. Like, I have people who would probably do a lot better in shows if they did other categories, but they just love the category they're in and they're having a blast. So at the end of the day, you got to do which one you love. I found my home in women's physique, but did I have to try other categories first? Yeah, I did. I tried bikini. So yeah, that's probably my best advice on it.
Cool. Yeah, that is really good advice. So, what's next for you then, Rachel? What are you going to be doing? What's your next show?
Oh, well, I decided to take, my coach and I decided to take this year off from competing, which was really hard for me. But I had a big season last year and it was, late in the year. I've been prepping for a long time. I've never really had an off season. I've kind of just always been on go since I first started. So, but I look at this more of like a chess game. It's not just a short-term thing. So this is a good time strategically for me to let my body rest, let my head get right, and have an off season for once, and then come back next year bigger and better. So I'm probably gonna, by the end of this year, I'm gonna be itching to get on stage whenever I can. So I'll probably do a big show earlier in the year next year. Like if they have the Arnold in March, I would love to do the Arnold.
Yes.
New York Pro. I obviously want to come back and, get my title. So we'll see. But this year right now is just my off season. I'm trying to work more on my business and do more posing seminars and just do the things that I really couldn't do on prep. Everything I've built with my business has been like while I'm like super depleted, getting ready for a huge show. So it's good for me. And I think it's good for me to have a break and a balance. And so that when I go back into grind mode, I'm hungry and I'm ready to go.
Nice. And you brought up your business. So if people want to get a hold of you for coaching, where can they find you?
Yes. So I do nutrition training. I have ebooks for different splits I did for different body parts. I have clothing. You can do routines, or you can get mandatory posing sessions with me. I have tons of clients who are via FaceTime or Zoom or WhatsApp or in person. So if anyone wants to get a hold of me, you can go to my website, www.therealloislane.com. It's with one L. Or you can go on my Instagram. In my bio, there's a link to all my stuff. So if you need any of that, that would be awesome. I don't really check my DMs a lot. I know some people go in my DMs trying to ask, but the best way you can get me is on my website, or just go to my Instagram, link in my bio. And then,
nice. Before we get into these listener questions, Paul, do you have any questions? Any more questions for Rachel?
Yeah, no, I didn't collect. You know what? The website, I was looking at your clothing. It's really sick, by the way. Yeah,
hey,
I like
thanks.
some of the t-shirts. You used the slogan like 20 minutes ago from one of your shirts.
I did. I did do
funny.
that.
Yeah, if somebody doesn't give a, or if somebody doesn't like what you're doing.
If someone doesn't believe, if they don't believe in you, fuck them.
That's it. Fuck them. Yeah, I like that
Fuck
t-shirt.
them.
I got over to that t-shirt.
It's my mom's favorite.
That's fucking awesome. Okay, this is my question for you. What's your favorite cut of steak, and how do you like it done?
Ooh.
It's Canadian beef after all, so we got to know.
I like a good Wagyu.
Oh, you've eaten Wagyu? Okay, you got to tell us about that real quick.
Oh, like Charlie's is like one of the best steakhouses in the country, and it's in Tampa. And I don't know why I didn't even know what Wagyu was. It just sounded cool, and I ordered it, and it was like the best thing that I've ever had in my life. And I like my steaks medium, like a real medium, because if you don't go to a good steakhouse and you say medium, they usually do it well done. So if I go to like not a good steakhouse, I'll ask for it rare, and then I probably will get a medium. But if we're going true to the meat, like a good medium Wagyu.
Fuck yeah. All right. We got two listener questions here, and they're both would you rathers.
Oh God.
You guys ready for this?
We'll see.
Let's hear 'em.
All right. The first one is, would you rather have to eat raw onions or eat raw garlic?
Both. I mean, I eat both raw all the time.
It's a pretty easy one for Rachel.
Raw onions. Raw onions. I love raw onions.
Me too.
You like
it's great.
really, eh?
It's so good.
Yeah.
I love them.
Yeah. Amateur.
Stinky breath.
Yum.
I would go with the raw garlic
Hmm.
because it's good for you, not
They're
for any
both
other reason.
good.
That's true. Yeah. They're both gonna make your breath stink. So
Listen, raw onions are a thing though. Like if you go to a hot dog, again, I'm using the hot dog analogy.
Yeah, you like hot dogs.
You get a hot dog, you get raw onions, raw garlic.
Yeah, that's true.
what do you guys like on your hot dog?
Mustard. Oh my God, I fucking love mustard. Can't get enough of it.
Just mustard.
I put mustard on everything, and I mean everything except for cereal.
Do you go just yellow?
Or French's or
I just yell it, man. No, I like me some mayo too. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Like
Mayo
a
on
ketchup
hot dogs?
mustard, like a fancy sauce blend, like ketchup, mustard, mayo, maybe.
Okay. What about you, Paul?
Fully loaded.
Yeah.
Fully loaded.
I like going to the ballpark and getting one with everything on it. The sour
Oh my
cream.
God.
So you're going ketchup, mustard, relish, sauerkraut, hot peppers, all of it.
Gross.
Fucking A, the works. Give it
Yes,
all.
sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Last question is, would you rather only be able to wear one color for the rest of your life or have to wear 6 different colors every day?
Like the 90s.
What are the colors?
Paul's
Like-
already wearing 6 different colors. He's got ketchup hat, mustard.
I feel like I'm wearing 6 colors and I look fucking great. So probably 6.
Yeah.
Probably 6. Fuck it. Everyone will look at me.
I'd probably go with the 6 too, because it's like then you'd at least you can like change it up. If you had to wear only one color, like first of all, what color are you gonna wear? You know, that's gonna get boring.
Why is he blue every day?
Someone comes to your house, it's like you open your fucking wardrobe, it's like just blue,
It's
nothing
like
but
a
blue.
cartoon character closet.
Yeah.
I'm a kid of the 90s, remember? Like Belle Biv DeVoe and Fresh Prince. There were colors everywhere. And then you were wearing
I
yellow,
wish I would.
blue.
Everyone now like wants to dress like they're in the 90s. So like, let's do it. Bring on the colors.
I always have to ask my girlfriend. So I'm like, does this match with this? Can I wear this with this? And I just let her tell me.
That's great. Good play.
Hell yeah. Oh man, this was so cool. Thanks so much for coming on here, Rachel. Is there anything that you want to say before we head off?
Not much. Thank you guys so much for having me. And I mean, I look forward to seeing your other episodes and getting you back down here for some more posing.
Absolutely. Yeah, Paul and myself are both gonna have to step our game up with the posing and work with you a little bit more. Yeah, guys. So like Rachel said, if you want to get a hold of her, she's got those links for you. We'll also put her information down in the comments below so you can find her real easily. Highly recommended if you guys want to take your posing to the next level. Like she said, she also does diet training as well. Other than that, guys, hope you guys have a great evening. Talk to you soon. Canadian Beef signing out.
Peace.
Thank you, Rachel. It's been
Thanks, Rachel. Bye,
You're
guys.
welcome. Thank you, guys.